And I was on stage at 15 years old, and my first contest I got fourth place. I competed probably 5 or 6 more times, and I was getting second, thirds, and fourths. And I went in another show, and I was expecting to win. My father was driving down 2 hours to watch me compete. He had never seen me compete before. I wrestled, I played football, and I went state wrestling. Football was a star running back, so he's used to seeing his son a winner. That's what his son was. Everything I did, I excelled at. So my dad's coming. Obviously, in my head, I'm gonna win this show. This is a show I'm gonna win. I'm gonna show my dad that his son is a champion, as always. Well, I ended up not placing in the show. I didn't make top 5, and I was devastated, and I felt awful. I didn't want to face my dad, so I finally went out to the audience, and he said, so when do you get a pose? When are you going to do your posing routine? And I didn't know how to tell him, but if you don't make top 5, you don't do your posing routine. So I had to tell him. I said, Dad, I'm not going to pose. And he's like, well, why not? What are you talking about? You've been working on your posing routine for 2 months. Like I did the music for your posing routine. Like, what do you mean you're not going to pose? And I'm like, I didn't make top 5. I didn't make the cut. And he couldn't believe it. He's like, it wasn't like he was sad. I could tell he was disappointed, So I went home, stayed up all night, out of my mind. And, I had to make a choice. I had to do whatever it took. And, my thing was, I need to redeem myself. I need to do what it takes. And I got up, I drove to Mexico, Tijuana, and I went and bought steroids, and I felt like, maybe that'll help. I got second, I got third, I was right there. And this show, I just got completely blown away. I drive to Tijuana, I walk in, I have no idea what I'm doing. I have no idea what I'm looking for. I don't know the name of anything. I don't know where to go. I'm driving around. Nobody speaks English. I'm 18 years old. I find a place. I basically say steroids, and they start showing me stuff. And I have no idea what I'm looking at. I just took the guy's word for it that, was, Spanish, didn't speak English, never worked out a day in his life. And I'm going to take his advice of what kind of drug I'm going to put in my body. And that's what I did. And, here I am smuggling drugs, across the border at 18 years old. I have no idea what I'm doing. It was a spontaneous thing. And I get sent to secondary. And, they start searching my car. And I'm like, okay, now I'm going to go to jail. Like, really? But you know what? At that point, it was like, that's what I need to do. I need to do whatever it takes, and I'm going to do that. And thank God they didn't find it. I made it home and went home, and I'm sitting there looking at a syringe, looking at bottles. I don't know how much to put in. I don't know how to draw it. I don't know how to shoot it. I don't know where to shoot it. We didn't have internet back in those days. We didn't have books. We had no information on steroids whatsoever. So what can I say? I took the needle, I filled it up, and I took a shot. And, I put it in my shoulder. I didn't know where to put it. And the last time I got a shot from the doctor, it was in the shoulder. So, hey, I guess the shoulder is the right place. So, it knotted up. It was sore. It hurt. I was scared. I thought, God, maybe I screwed myself up. I don't know what is going on. I don't know what's going to happen. And, but at that point, it didn't matter. All that mattered is that I'm going to redeem myself, and I'm going to do whatever it takes. And, I have to say that, I was taking a shot 2 or 3 times a week. I didn't know how often I was supposed to do it. I didn't know the protocol. I had no idea. And about 3 months went by, and there was a contest. It was the Southern California Teenage, because I'm a teenager. I'm still 18. And, I went in the show, and I had put on, about 28 pounds of muscle. And I won my class, and I won the overall, and quite easily. I pretty much destroyed the competition. And I don't want to sit here and say steroids is the reason, and steroids is what, made me a champion. But the point of the matter is that I was willing to do whatever it took to win. And, that's the champion's mindset, and that's what I did. And I went on 2 weeks later, and I won the California overall teenage division. And from that point, I was winning shows. And, you know, basically, the last thing I want to do is give steroids credit for what I achieved. But the truth be told, yes, the steroids helped. And yes, the guys that beat me at the other show were taking steroids. They were quite a bit bigger than me. And a champion's mindset is doing, you know, whatever it takes to win. And that was my mindset. And I competed for years and I continued to win. And I have to say that it got to the point where I didn't give a shit about anything. All I cared about was continuing to win and doing whatever it took, you know. And if I'm talking to my buddy and he's getting ready for a show and he's doing this, and this, and this, guess what? I'm going to do this, and this, and this. You know what I'm saying? Because I got to do whatever it takes to win. And I'm just telling you my mentality. My mentality is I'm either all or nothing. I'm either going to go 100% and do whatever it takes to be a champion, or I'm not even going to try. You know, I'm not going to do anything half-ass, you know, and that basically was my bodybuilding career. And when I was competing, I put everything else on hold. You know, I didn't give a fuck about my job, you know, my girlfriend, my, you know, family, whatever was involved, whatever was going on in my life. All I cared about was that trophy, you know, winning that trophy and being a champion. When I wrestled, all I cared about was winning that match coming up, you know, football, whatever it was, you know, and that's just been my mindset. And I had to get out of bodybuilding. And the reason being is because, you know, I would have fucking killed myself because, you know, there's no stopping me. You know, I'm going to keep doing whatever it takes to win. You know, there ain't no stopping me. You know, if it takes this, fuck it, let's do it. I'm on. You know, and that was just my mindset. I'm not saying that's everyone's mindset. I'm just telling you the truth of my mentality is I don't do shit half-ass. I do it all or nothing. And I was willing to do whatever it took. And, you know, thank God, you know, I stopped competing, you know, because I was killing myself, you know, and I'm not trying to sit here and tell people that I don't take steroids anymore because I'm not a liar. You know, I tell people how it is. I got nothing to hide. There ain't no reason for me to lie about that or hide it or anything. I mean, the way I look at things, if you see a guy driving a Ferrari, I don't really give a fuck how he got the Ferrari. The point is he has a Ferrari and you don't. You know what I mean? So, you know, yeah, he did this, he did that. Who cares? He has a Ferrari. He has a Ferrari and you don't. You know what I'm saying? And fuck, that's pretty fucking badass. So I got this body, you know, and you don't. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to be cocky or be whatever, but people try to take things away, you know, because of, you know, maybe you use steroids to get there. And I still am at this point taking steroids, but it's at, you know, about 10% what it was when I was competing. You know, I'm a lot smarter now. I've learned a lot. I have a lot more knowledge, and I've learned that more isn't necessarily better. But back in the day, more was better, more everything, more weight, more food, more sleep, you know, more drugs, more was better. That was my mentality, you know, and I've learned to be smart about it these days. And I've learned that, you know, I can get incredible results, possibly better results than I did back in the day, you know, being a lot more methodical about the way I do my cycles. And, you know, there's a lot of things I was doing that I didn't need to do. They weren't necessary. It was overkill. And, you know, it's very important for people to acquire as much knowledge as they can. And, you know, knowledge isn't necessarily what you get on the internet. You know, it's experience. It's talking to experienced people that you can trust. That's very important. So a lot of people will straight up lie to you. You know, people just can't be honest. They won't be honest. You know, they won't tell the truth. You know, every bodybuilder out there that's 280 pounds, you know, all I take is this, and that's it. That's all I take. Yeah, bullshit. I'm saying bullshit, you know, and people aren't honest. And a lot of times in bodybuilding, there's a lot of people are jealous, they're envious, and they like to mislead people. You know, they almost do it on purpose. Kind of like Arnold in Pumping Iron. You know, he talked about, you know, well, what happens if Franco, you know, you think Franco might beat you? And he said, oh, Franco's not a problem because, see, Franco trusts me. Whatever I tell Franco to do, he will do. He listens to me. You know, so basically what he's saying is he's going to give Franco the wrong advice. So Franco doesn't do well. So Arnold beats him. Well, a lot of times that's the mentality. You know, if someone that's a threat to you, you might lead them in the wrong direction because they're a threat and you want to stay better. And that's goes on all the time. But if you truly have someone that you trust, has the knowledge, that's the best way to gather knowledge, and also trial and error and experience. You know, a lot of people go on the internet and they read and they just follow whatever they're reading. And, you know, I have to say that a lot of stuff on the internet is not necessarily correct. You know, there's a lot of times, you know, people will say, you know, you got to do this, you got to add Arimidex, you don't need to add Arimidex. You know, Arimidex raises your good cholesterol, lowers your good cholesterol, you know, and there's no reason to take Arimidex if you don't need it. You know, why take something you don't need? And that's just an example of protocols. You know, they'll tell you to take this is, well, there's some things you don't always need. Not everyone's the same. Everyone's body reacts differently. You know, some people, you know, they don't have a lot of estrogen. You know, the drugs don't cause them to, you know, and therefore you don't need those things. You know, you have to figure out your body, learn what's best for you, and take the minimal amount possible to get the best results. So anyway, that's my story of how I got involved in the whole drug aspects. And, you know, I've acquired a lot of knowledge and I've learned a lot. And I definitely